What's up, guys? I just want to make a quick video about how to achieve this underground distorted sound, having like a clean distortion on your beat. So the 808, it's like clipping your beat but in a kind of a clean, controlled way. So I was just watching this reel that Corb WTF made about how to do this using a distortion send, but I didn't really understand exactly what he was trying to show us here, to be honest. But shout out Corb WTF. So I just left a comment about a slightly easier way I thought you could do this, and some people responded, so I thought I'd make a quick video about it. So here we go. So here's an example beat. I'm just gonna turn all the effects off that I'm gonna be using today, so you can just hear the beat with nothing going on. Alright, so obviously we just do not have that 808 clipping sound yet. It doesn't really sound like the 808 is overpowering the beat like you might be going for. For a beat like this, I probably wouldn't want too much like distortion, but I'm just gonna do it anyway to show you how you would do that if that's what you're going for. Especially if you're trying to achieve that sound like Slayr, Che, or like these underground rage type artists. They have this a ton of distortion on the beats, but it's clean and controlled. Clearly they're using the distortion intentionally to achieve a certain sound, and they're not just like absolutely blowing out their beat most of the time. Obviously it depends on who it is, but I just want to show you guys like a more controlled way of doing it rather than just straight up putting distortion on your master, which you don't really want to do that. So the main plugin that we're going to be using to do this, and I'm going to show two ways of doing this: the quick and dirty way and a more controlled, clean way. So the quick and dirty way, which is what my initial comment was about, was using a clipper and an EQ on your master. So basically we're going to use a clipper to chop the loudest parts of the song off. So any sound that goes into a clipper, you can set a threshold called the ceiling, and everything above that is just going to get chopped off basically. And it does this very harshly, but in this case, we kind of want that aggressive clipping on the masters because it's going to add that distorted sound and make it sound like the 808 is just like blowing up the beat. And that just adds a ton of power to the mix, which is what we're going for here, just absolute maximum power. So we got this clipper on. You could use Fruity Soft Clipper, which is just free in FL Studio, but I highly recommend getting Free Clip 2 just because that's a lot more options here. So I've turned up the input gain a little bit, turned up the oversampling. You can also change like the properties of the clipping, though for what we're going for here, I think a softer clip is definitely the way to go, though you could also go for a really harsh clip depending on what you're doing. So I've gone ahead and done this softer clip, and let's just mess around with the ceiling here. So you can get an idea for what's going on here. So but obviously we want the 808 to be the thing that's like distorting everything. So let's just leave the ceiling here for now, and let's just turn up our 808, which I have all my sounds routed to sends. So my 808 is going to this bass send. So let's go ahead and turn this up. So obviously the bass is way too loud now, but it is distorting a nice amount. So how we're going to handle this is by using an EQ after our clipper. So basically I've just added this low shelf EQ using Pro Q3. You could use another EQ if you want, though ideally you want to have an EQ that is capable of linear phase, because this is going to be a bit nicer on the sub frequencies. Otherwise you might have phase issues. So I'm using linear phase here, and I'm just turning down the sub. So let me turn this back up a little bit, and then let's slowly turn it down and you'll see what happens. Oh, it's not even enabled. There's your problem. So now our 808 is distorting the mix, but the sub isn't so overpowering that, you know, it's just gonna demolish your car speakers. But there's definitely a cleaner way of achieving this, because the problem with this is everything's on the master. So you know, if you had any vocals in your beat, you know, somebody rapped on the beat, that's gonna get distorted too. So you definitely want to reroute things a little bit differently if you want to achieve this in a more clean, controlled way. So let me just show you my favorite way of doing it, which is using this plugin called Delta. This is a paid plugin, but I think it's well worth the money. It's so useful for getting really loud, punchy mixes once you know how to use it. So let me just show you how I use it. So first, let's disable the clipper and the EQ, and then we're going to turn on Delta. And basically how this works is I have all my 808s going to this bass channel, and I've sidechained this channel to my instrument channel. So my instrument channel, this is all my synths, the vocal sample, all that stuff is in this channel right now. So, and I only want to distort that. I don't really want to distort the drums. If you want to distort the drums, obviously you'd route things a little bit differently. You could have like a send. You could make a new send that's just like you know, a clipping send, and then you know, put everything in that. Route your instruments and your drums to that, if you'd like. But in this case, I only want to distort the instrument. So I've got Delta on my instrument channel, and I've got the 808 channel sidechained to that. Then if you come in here to processing, you can change the sidechain to the channel that you want, because obviously we have a bunch of different instruments going into this, but I just want the bass. Then we go back to the main plugin, and all you have to do here is just turn up the amount. So this is going to distort the what this plugin does is it distorts the sound that's going through the plugin to the sound that you sidechained to it. So it's going to distort my instruments to the 808 like this. Let's turn it down. Turn it back on. So as you can hear, it's adding that like kind of wobbliness to the instruments, and only the instruments, not the drums. So we still have a clean mix, and it's controlled. It's not distorting anything but the instruments. So it still sounds like the 808 is like overpowering the mix, but in a controlled way. Like now we can, like I can turn up the 808, turn it up and down to control the sub rather than using an EQ. Because using an EQ on everything, it's going to start causing phase issues eventually. So obviously this mix still needs some work, but hopefully you can hear that distortion coming from the 808 onto the instruments, and hopefully this helps you achieve that sound with your beats, going for that underground like controlled distortion. This is my first time making a video like this, so I apologize if I was like rambling a little bit, but hopefully if you guys like this, I'll make some more videos. So just let me know what you want to see, and I'm happy to help with mixing, producing. I make beats. I just released an album, fully self-produced, and I work at a recording studio. So just hit me up with any questions, and I'm happy to help. And let me know what you guys think is the best way of achieving this sound, because I'm sure there's a ton of different ways to do it. And at the end of the day, it's whatever works for your particular mix. Every mix is different. You know, you're gonna have a different method that works for each sound, each song that you make. You know, a different method might be best, not necessarily this one. But hopefully this is helpful. You can add this to your tool bag. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.